So everybody should be ready to contribute. Class captain, as usual, if I have anything to ask, I'll ask the question through you. You give me 1%. So to answer views on whatever I will ask. You don't need as in me to wait, as in you don't need to wait till the end of the class before you ask your questions. If you have any question, just let me know. You stop me. Start. This section is made up of laws that govern the practice of pharmacy in Ghana. In Ghana, not any other country. The ethics around the profession and several policies that we have in the practice. So these are mainly the things made up of laws that govern the practice of pharmacy in Ghana. In Ghana, not any other country. To the theories and then the orals. It's not only about pharmacy practice, also known as the clinical, the professional. You need to know the rules of the game, the regulations, the laws, the ethics, so that it will shape you in line. You are going to be examining on in addition to the clinicals. So always the most important one, Professional Bodies Act, with the acronym HBRB, which was presents the Act number 857. It is not every aspect of this act that applies to pharmacy practice. So if you go, the act has several parts. Part 1, Part 2, Part 3, all the way to Part 6, 4, and Part 6 that is applicable to pharmacy practice. So if you pick this act, do not waste your time mainly on Part 4, the establishment of the Pharmacy Council, everything about Pharmacy Council and the practice of pharmacy. Then Part 6 talks about administrative, financial, and miscellaneous provisions. In fact, the Part 6 is applicable to all the remaining 5 parts under this Act, whether it is Part 1, Part 2, Part 3, Part 4, Part 5. Part 6 is applicable to you, and therefore Pharmacy Council that is under Part 4, Part 6 is also applicable. So everything about pharmacy councils, the administrative issues of pharmacy council, the financial issues, pharmacy council, and any other miscellaneous things that affect pharmacy council is captured under Part 6. Note, the fact that I'm saying don't waste your time on the other parts doesn't mean that you don't need to know anything about those parts. No, that's not what I'm saying. But don't waste your time, go there and read. At least, you should know what is there in the other parts. For example, you should know that if you go to Part 1, you have the Allied Health Professionals. So it is the Allied Health Profession Council that was established under Part 1. This thing you should know. And you should also know which professionals are under the so-called allied health groups. So allied health professionals. What kind of health professionals are part of the allied health profession group? So the lab people, sonographers, the hematologists, the whatever, the biochemistry guys. These are the guys who are registered under the Part 1, allied health professionals. Note that Part 2 is for medical and dental council. And therefore, you should know the professionals who are registered under the Part 2. Obviously, medical doctors and then dental surgeons, they are there. Part 3 is nursing and midwifery. You should know nurses and midwifery. Back to Part 2 again. Apart from medical doctors and dentists, note that physician assistants are also registered there, physician assistants, and certified registered anesthetists. This is something that you can easily be examined under. It's actually a past question. Knowing the type of professionals who are registered under each part, that's all. So Part 1, allied health professional. So focus on the lab guys. Part 2, medical and dental council. Focus on medical doctors. Note that dentists, they are there. Note that physician assistants are also registered there. Note that certified registered anesthetists are also there. You go to Part 3, you have nursing and midwifery. So obviously midwives, nurses are registered there. Then you come to Part 4, that is our part, pharmacy council. So this part, you should know everything inside out, because almost 60 to 70% of the law ethics section comes from this part. I repeat, in your exam, almost 60 to 70% of the questions under law ethics and policies comes specifically from the Part 4 of the Health Professions Regulatory Bodies Act. That is the establishment of the Pharmacy Council and all the things under it. Professionals that are registered here, obviously pharmacists, pharmacy technicians. Nowadays, you have your MCAs being part, though if you read the act, you are not going to see MCAs. But upon additional regulations, MDAs are currently registered and they are given their personal identification number. So currently they are part. But if you read the act that was passed in 2013, you will not see MCAs. Then the fourth group will be the over-the-counter medicine sellers. They are also registered under Part 4. So 4 main professionals: pharmacists, pharmacy technicians, over-the-counter medicine sellers, and MCAs. Then you go to Part 5, that is the psychiatric council, registered under psycho will be there. So at least you should know this. Then the Part 6 will be the administrative issues, the financial issues, and any other miscellaneous thing that affects all the 5 parts. So once you are under either Part 1, Part 2, Part 3, Part 4, or Part 5, Part 6 is automatically affecting you. And therefore, we pharmacists, or those who are registered under Part 4, you can't only read Part 4 and go. You need to know Part 6 as well: financial, administrative, and miscellaneous provisions. One additional thing that I want you to note is that of every act or every part of any act, they try to explain the words or the terms that they use in writing the act. So you are not going to use the normal meanings of those words. When they say come, they will tell you what come means according to this law. So you can't use the natural meaning and then use it in the interpretation. No. And it is also possible. So make sure that at the end of every act, the words, the terms that they have interpreted there, you will familiarize yourself with all those things. So at the end of the Part 4, for example, you go there and then you will see pharmacist, and they will tell you who a pharmacist is. They will define it there. You will see over-the-counter medicines. They will define it there. Do not use your own understanding. It might be a bit different from what is in the act. So make sure that you go by the interpretations in the act. When you are asked about who a practitioner is, go straight to the act. and tell them how they have done the interpretation there. When you are asked about pharmacy premises, prescription only medicines, all those things. So you apply same to all the other acts. So it is very, very important that you familiarize yourself with the interpretations at the end of every act. All right, class captain, are there any issues so far before I go to the next one?
No, please.
All right. So the second Public Health Act is also very important. After the Health Professions Regulatory Bodies Act, the second most important one will be the Public Health Act. So this is the act that you have FDA in. So the establishment of the Food and Drug Authority is found in the Public Health Act. There are several parts, all the way from Part 1 to Part 8 and even Part 9, miscellaneous provisions. Yes, Part 9. But the key ones, again, that you should focus on, because it's a very huge document. The key one that you should focus on is Part 6, which is tobacco control. Part 7, the establishment of FDA. And Part 8, clinical trials. So under these parts, being part of the Public Health Act, please focus specifically on this one. You should also know these parts. Just as I told you to know Part 4 of the Health Professions Regulatory Bodies Act, you should also know these three parts. The other part, I will urge you to read through. So Part 1, like communicable diseases. So Part 1 of the Public Health Act looks at the communicable diseases. Part 2 looks at vaccination. Part 3 is about quarantine. If you have any infectious condition like COVID, there are laws that permit that we should quarantine you by force, whether you like it or not, because you are a risk to others. So quarantine, all the things under quarantine. And then Part 4 is vector control. Part 5, environmental control. Part 6, tobacco control. Part 7, FDA. Part 8, clinical trials, how we conduct clinical trials in Ghana. Then Part 9 is miscellaneous provisions. You should know what is at every part, because they can ask you that the Part 1 of the Public Health Act looks at what. Then you have to know that it's about communicable conditions or diseases. Part 2, it talks about vaccination and so on and so forth. Again, just as we discussed under the Health Professions Act. So if you want to know what a drug is, because FDA is about drugs and everything, it is under this act that they will define what a drug is. Premises, what have you, packaging, you can't use your own definition to know what is in the law. One other aspect of this Public Health Act is the schedules. So after you've gone through all the end of this act, we have about 7 or 8 schedules, like mini parts. You have to sample. Schedule 1 will talk how if you have been vaccinated, sex, the vaccinator's information, where the vaccination was done, the date for the vaccination, the signature of the vaccinator. These things are key. If you read through the Schedule 1, you know this. You go through Schedule 2, and it will give you information about tobacco warning statements. There are key statements that are supposed to be printed on every tobacco pack, warning tobacco smokers as to the hazard of smoking tobacco. And these statements are supposed to be rotated yearly. So every year, FDA expect that you keep 2 of these statements on the pack, one on the broader section of the pack, and then the other on the other side. Bold all the tobacco warning statements. For example, Smokers die young. Smoking causes cancer. Don't expose children to smoking. Smoking causes heart disease. All these statements are there, and it is expected that you write them on tobacco packs. Note them. Schedule 3 is about tobacco again. And this schedule, since you read part 6, which is also under tobacco control, normally I advise very lengthy. The schedule 3 is very, very lengthy. So by reading through the part 6, you can skip. But if you have more to part, are the books that when you see any item in it, any item that they've talked about, it gives you one of the definition of what drugs are. So any item that is referred to any of the books stated under the Schedule 4 qualifies to be a drug. Any item that if you go through the official books listed under Schedule 4, that item qualifies to be a drug. That is the first interpretation of what a drug is under the Public Health Act. Any item being referred to under the official Schedule 4. So you go there, you see the official British Pharmacopoeia, United States Pharmacopoeia, and you should know these books. Just know them. About 6 or so. The recommendations from the Commission of Alimentarius, it is there. Then any other formulary or document that is adopted by FDA. All these are there under Schedule 4, and you should know. Then Schedule 5 talks about diseases which have prevention or anything about. Those diseases that you find the whole list. Nobody should do any advert on them that you have a drug or any other strategy to manage. But unfortunately, these are the conditions that we always hear about on our airwaves and television. For example, any condition that is linked with the reproductive system, whether male or female reproductive system, nobody should make advert on that you have a drug to treat or whatever. So all these aphrodisiacs, the drugs that they say it will make you potent, you can have very strong erections, whatever, these that can solve menstrual problems that they advertise on. These are all against the law because reproductive conditions, the law does not allow us to advertise on. HIV, epilepsy, tetanus, you go there, you see a whole list. STI, whatever, these are the things that we find. Not even the FDA can grant you the permission to advertise on. But unfortunately, at the end of the advert, they will tell you the advert is approved by FDA. Meanwhile, the law is saying that even FDA cannot permit you to advertise on any of the conditions under Schedule 5. So you go there and then familiarize yourself with that long talks about the patient's responsibilities. So everything there about the patient rights. If you become a patient right now, what are your rights? You go there under Schedule 6 and Schedule. So for example, it is the rights of every patient to be told his or her conditions. Several patients will go to the hospital, they will come back with drugs without even knowing their condition, yet they've been asked to take medications. No, the patient should know what is wrong with him or herself. Confidentiality is part. You don't need to be telling people about the patient's confidentiality. That's the right of the patient. The patient has the right to know about the cost, the expected cost. So if you know that this treatment will cost me about 100,000 Ghana, you should tell me before you even start the treatment. If not, you do it and you tell me and I can't pay. You've done a disservice to the patient. the patient should be told. Alternative treatment, the patient should be told. It's not only about one, if it is, let's say, cancer, and then you know that chemotherapy can do it, radiotherapy can do it, surgery can do it. It is the right of the patient to know all these three. You just empower the patient, and the patient, together with the clinicians, will choose. If you don't do that, you've infringed on the right of the patient. So all of these are under the schedules, and therefore you have to read. Don't waste your time on Schedule 3. Then the next law or the next act will be HIFRA, Health Institutions and Facilities Act. That is where the Health Institutions Regulatory Agency is also enacted. This one has parts, but the first part is the most important as pharmacist, the first part. So the establishment of the Health Institutions Regulatory Agency, that is the part one. That is what you should focus on. The second part is about mortuaries and funeral facility council. You may read through. One is ambulance council. Ambulance too, of course, is often established similarities and the conflicts between these three sister agencies. So these are the three key acts that at least you should know. The others are also important, but as not important as these first three. Among the first three, the Health Professions Regulatory Bodies Act is the most important. As I said, almost about 60 to 70% of the questions section, law, policy, ethics, will come from Regulatory Bodies Act. So after this, then we can go through PSGH constitutions and code of ethics, briefly read through the national health insurance, then some of the policies. This, we've captured most of them when we were doing the clinical topics. So for example, when we did HIV, everything was part of the HIV policy. The choice of medications in Ghana, the diagnosis in Ghana, everything, the inclusion and exclusion criteria for initiation, all those things are policies. So the policies that we are talking about, these are examples. HIV policy is an example of the policies. Malaria policy. So that lengthy section that we did on malaria is all about malaria policy. The choice of medications that we use is part of the policies. So you realize that previously we were using monotherapies. Now the policy states that we can't use monotherapies, combination therapies, how we microscopy or all those, and that is how malaria. If you go to complicated malaria, what does the policy state? You start with artesunate IV, then you go on and on and on. Policies. How do you prevent malaria? Part of the policies. Look at the Ghana National Drug Policy, which is the policy. So the Ghana National Drug Policy will talk about all the do under drugs when it comes to dispensing and even taking the medicines. These are all parts of the policies. Then other miscellaneous topics like the good old rational use of medicines, you have to know. So under rational use of the drug and the therapeutic committee. So these are committees in hospitals and districts that takes care of almost everything about drugs in terms of education of drug formularies, taking care of adverse drug reactions, and all those things are done by such committees that we have in our hospitals. It's not every hospital that will have it. Hospitals will rely on guidelines. It goes with the essential medicines list. So we look at what goes into the essential medicines list, the selection of medicines. On what basis do you select drug A into the list but not drug B? Meanwhile, they are all to look the authority, national drug policy, I've mentioned it. Sustainable development goals, previously known as the Millennium Development Goals, just 8 goals. Now they have changed it to about 17 goals. We have to look at them, but the most important goal, as per our profession, will be about health issues. So we will just briefly go, but regulations, if you want to acquire a pharmacy premises and then operate the business of pharmacy, what are the standards? What are the guidelines? What are the do's and don'ts that will help you to acquire the license? We'll go through that. Then briefly, good manufacturing practice. A huge document, but we'll try and then summarize it. You've done this already. Then community pharmacy practice. Currently, it has become very, very important as part of it because it is a whole specialty in pharmacy practice now. So we will look at the SOPs and the community pharmacy practice and everything under it. Then, in a way, ethical. And then currently, we also have to look at the e-pharmacy policy. So don't forget that we will briefly do something on the e-pharmacy. Then even the credit essential requirement. So the CPDs. CPDs, and then how much points you need to make you eligible for registration. So briefly, these are the things that we are going to do. A lengthy list, but we are going to finish. It won't take much time as the laws. Class captain, do you have anything, you and your guys, anything that you want to ask anybody
No.
before we start the work for today? So this is just an introduction to almost everything that you guys should expect under the laws, policies, and ethics. Questions can come from anywhere. So if you don't have any question, then I think, okay, so can we start?
Yes, please.
Okay, so today we are going to begin the class with disciplinary procedures. Pharmacy Council. Dr. Ishak will handle the Health Professions Regulatory Bodies Act. Please make sure you read beforehand so that you will appreciate. It's more or less like discussions. If you don't know anything prior to the discussion, you realize that you wouldn't enjoy the class. You wouldn't enjoy the class. You should read so that you can ask more questions. You ask more questions, then it makes the class interesting. So please make sure that you participate a lot, because at times you realize that the candidates are even able to push the class and then bring more ideas. So it's not supposed to be only one person or a few people who will be contributing. Everybody should be able to contribute so that we appreciate. This thing, if you don't get the understanding and you try to go and chew, it's very volatile. You chew, the next day it's not there. But if you get the principles, yes, you are through. It's not that difficult. And in fact, this is the session that can boost you. Your clinicals are on point, but it is more easier getting all the points or the score under the law ethics. And if you are that good here, it buys you more time, because quickly, by 10 minutes, you can finish almost about 40 questions under the laws, so that you have more time to spend on the clinicals and think about them. Remember, your exam is all about speed and accuracy. You don't have time at all. So if you realize that one question is delaying you, just skip and go to the other question. All right, class captain.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so the first question goes to you. You were told to read at least the Health Professions Act, or in your opinion, which are when it comes to the law? And it's not that you are supposed to go and chew the thing and then write it verbatim, no, word for word. But you have to know the key things and then present it. So the first question, class captain, who do you think is a practitioner or a professional when it comes to pharmacy practice in Ghana? You are talking about Ghana, not any other country. So in Ghana, when it comes to pharmacy practice, I'm talking about pharmacy practice. Who do you think that that person is a professional or a practitioner under pharmacy practice?
Okay,
That's
so
okay.
a professional is a member of a profession. So in this case, the profession we are talking about is a pharmacy. Is pharmacy. So it's a member of a profession or a person who works in a specified professional activity. So in this case, we are talking about pharmacy. So someone who works in um, someone who works in pharmacy related activities.
Okay. So if you go to any pharmacy, like any pharmacy, let's say Atford Chemist, then the wife of Atford Chemist is dispensing. Do you consider Atford Chemist wife as a practitioner of pharmacy in Ghana, per what you are saying? Because you go to several pharmacies, you see a whole lot of people practicing pharmacy. They are not there just being cleaners or arranging drugs. They are there dispensing medications or pre-packing medications for clients. Do you accept that these individuals are professionals or practitioners when it comes to pharmacy practice?
No, please. So the person
So
must be
you
a registered pharmacist or a
perfect.
pharmaceutical support staff.
Yes, you are now getting the thing. So you see what I was talking about. So per your first statement, you were trying to tell us that if you go to any pharmacy, anybody you see there practicing. So now you've realized that no, that person should be what? Registered. You get it now? Yes. So this means that remember, this is law. Those key things shouldn't what? Miss out. No. If you do that, they will mark you down. So obviously, a professional or a practitioner of pharmacy practice should be number one, somebody who is registered under the Part 4. It is the Part 4 that gives the power to Pharmacy Council to register practitioners. So if you are not registered under the Part 4 of the Health Professions Regulatory Bodies Act, you can carry the pharmacy on your head and move around. You are still not a practitioner or a professional when it comes to pharmacy practice. So the key thing is that a professional when it comes to pharmacy practice is someone who is registered under the Part 4 of the Health Professions Regulatory Bodies Act. Nothing more, nothing less. And currently, as I said, we have about 4 categories of practitioners under this act: pharmacist, pharmacy technician, over-the-counter medical sellers, and the MCAs, medicine counter assistant. I repeat, if you read through the 2013, MCAs were not captured. So around 2013, you couldn't say that MCAs were practitioners. Though we had MCAs there, but they were not captured. Currently, according to regulations, the Pharmacy Council are allowed to do additional regulations because certain things can change along the line, so that they add the regulations to the law. So per the regulations, Pharmacy Council, they've now added MCAs, and MCAs are now registered by council, and they give them their registration numbers, just like pharmacists and technicians nowadays. So they are part. So you have to be registered under the Part 4 of the Health Professions Regulatory Bodies Act before you become a pharmacy practitioner. Class captain, are we okay?
Yes, please.
All right. Now, the topic for the day is disciplinary procedures. And contrary to what you are supposed to do. And therefore, I will ask, practitioner or professional is, then what is professional misconduct? When do we say that committed professional misconduct? Class captain, give me one person. Professional misconduct. So the person that you don't like in the class, mention his or her name.
Hello, fam.
Yeah.
Good morning, doc.
Is it Bosulu?
Yes, doc.
Hey, 1,000 years. I hope you are fine.
Doc, I'm doing well.
All right. Okay, we'll
Doc,
talk later. So,
yes,
do you
doc.
want to?
I want to try.
Okay.
A professional misconduct is when a registered pharmacy goes contrary to what registered pharmacy to practice or to do.
Okay. So that wouldn't be about only registered pharmacists. Now we are talking about professionals or practitioners. We mentioned about 4 categories of practitioners under the Part 4. So when any of them, because it's not only pharmacists who can commit professional misconduct, technicians can also do it. MCAs, over-the-counter medicine sellers can do it. So registered to the act, all the sections, all the parts under the Part 4 and Part 6. If you do anything that is opposite to all the write-ups under the Part 4, therefore, and from time to time, if you do anything contrary to any of these sections and regulations, which means that if you are not part of this 4 and you do same, yours cannot be deemed as a professional misconduct. The provision in the Health Professions Regulatory Bodies Act, Part 4, the regulations under Part 4, or additional regulations that is published by Pharmacy Council from time to time. If you contravene any provision in any of these and you are not a practitioner, yours becomes an offense. Because in the first place, you are not a professional or a practitioner, and therefore you can't commit a professional misconduct. It becomes just an offense, and you'll be handled accordingly. If that one is considered as a professional misconduct by contraventions in the Part 4 of the Health Professions Regulatory Bodies Act, the regulations in the Health Professions Regulatory Bodies Act, additional regulations published by Pharmacy Council from time to time. This is deemed as a professional misconduct. Thank you very much. Class captain. Is it clear?
Yes, please.
Okay, so I'll take it as once you say it is clear and nobody ask anything, then the whole class it's okay. Or should I take it that way? As I said, if you don't understand anything, you are free to ask. If not, I'll always ask the class captain to clear me so that I can continue. Class captain, can I continue?
Sir,
Yes,
sir, please can you kindly repeat your last statement with regards to professional misconduct?
Uh-huh. So we are saying that to commit a professional misconduct, the first thing is that you should be a professional. You should be a professional before if you do anything wrong. Then we say that you've committed a professional misconduct. We are focusing on the pharmacy profession. Who and who are part of the pharmacy profession? 4 categories of practitioners are registered there, and they are the ones that are considered as pharmacy practitioners. Number 1 on the list, pharmacy technicians, over-the-counter medicine sellers, and MCs. If any of these categories of practitioners contravene any provision in the Act, especially the Part 4, the regulations in the Part 4 of the Health Professions Regulatory Bodies Act, and the additional regulations that Pharmacy Council they publish from time to time. If you contravene anything in any of these documents, then that will be deemed as a professional misconduct. For example, we are saying that as a pharmacist, I'm choosing pharmacist as one of the practitioners. You shouldn't allow anybody, if you are registering for a facility, you shouldn't allow anybody who is not a professional or a practitioner to practice in that you. You have accepted to supervise pharmacy practice in whatever pharmacy that you've registered for. So you are what? You should never allow somebody who is not a practitioner to practice. If you do so, you have committed a professional misconduct. And we know the consequence. So the proprietor's wife, the proprietor's nephew, who is neither a pharmacist nor a technician nor an MCA, should not be allowed to practice pharmacy. And if you allow that person to do so and they catch you, that is a professional misconduct. So this is just one of the things that I've cited. So 1, the person should be a professional registered under the Part 4. And if that person commits or do anything against the provisions, the regulations, the additional regulations, then that person will be deemed to have committed a professional misconduct. Please, are you okay? Hello?
Yes, please. Thank you.
All right. Class captain, can we continue?
yes, please.
Class captain, you there, you can't run away because like every 5-10 minutes, I'll call you. All right. If so, if somebody commits a professional misconduct or you are suspected of committing a professional misconduct, how do we deal with that? And therefore, let's quickly look at the disciplinary procedures. If someone is accused of doing anything contrary to what he's supposed to do in the act, what goes into the investigations and everything till the person is found guilty or otherwise. Okay, so let's look at the topic proper, disciplinary proceedings. Of course, remember the regulator is Pharmacy Council. Dr. Ishak will take you through the establishment of Pharmacy Council and everything under Pharmacy Council. So it is Pharmacy Council who is the regulator. They are going to handle the disciplinary procedures. They have their own way of doing it. How would they go about it? How would they go about it? So the first thing is that there should be of complaint, a source of complaint. And it doesn't matter how the complaint will get to the registrar of the pharmacy council. The registrar of the pharmacy council is the one in charge of the day-to-day administration of pharmacy or her, whether he himself hear the information on radio or watching TV and he sees that there is a form of professional misconduct. Any form by which the complaint will get to the registrar doesn't matter. Any particular person to send an official complaint. That is part two. But once the registrar becomes aware that there is any professional misconduct through whatever means, it doesn't matter. How it gets to the registrar, it doesn't matter. All that the registrar is obliged to do, and listen, once the registrar gets to know, it's not on him to decide whether to send the information to pharmacy council or not. He is obliged to send the information to pharmacy council. Whether it is a minor case or a major case, it is not on him to decide. He's just a convener. Just send the information to pharmacy council. Now, if I say pharmacy council, it's unfortunate that you've not started with Dr. Ishak. You will know the composition of the pharmacy council, made up of 9 members, of which the registrar is part. The registrar is, in fact, the secretary of this council. The 9 members, he is part, and he is the secretary to the council. Whenever the council meets, those 9 members meet, he serves as the secretary. He writes everything. So once the complaint gets to the registrar, who is in charge of the day-to-day administration of the council, and also the secretary to the council, he is obliged to forward the complaint to the 9 members of which he is part. Once the council, they receive this complaint from the registrar, then they will forward this complaint of pharmacy council, known as the disciplinary committee. Now, before I proceed, in the law or in the act, pharmacy council, they are mandated to set up at least 2 committees. They can set thousands, but whether they like it or not, there are 2 committees that the Part 6 forced them to establish. One of them is the disciplinary committee. This is compulsory. The pharmacy council should have a disciplinary committee. The second one is the committee for pharmacy technicians. These 2 are mentioned in the Part 6 of the Health Professions Regulatory Bodies Act. Whether pharmacy council, they like it or not, they must have these 2 committees. Number 1, disciplinary committee, obviously, as the name suggests, to look at disciplinary issues. The number 2 is the committee for pharmacy technicians. It will help them to achieve their function, allowed to do.
Hello.
They can also decide. Hello. Oh, okay. Class captain, is it a general thing?
Yes, please. I think when you were talking about the committee,
So these 2 committees, disciplinary committees and the committee for pharmacy technicians, and therefore these 2 committees are referred to as statutory committees. Statutory committees. The committee will force you to establish. So you can't say that you don't have these 2 committees. So note the terminology. These 2 committees are termed as and then the pharmacy council, when they meet and the registrar gives them this complaint, will forward this information to the disciplinary committee. From this point onwards, what will happen is that the disciplinary committee, through the registrar, is going to link up with the practitioner in question. I repeat, the DC, that is the disciplinary committee, once they've been given the complaint, pharmacy council, they give them the complaint. The DC is now going to link up with the practitioner in question, but not directly. The registrar will be the liaison officer between the DC and the practitioner in question. So whatever information that the DC wants to give to the person in question, they will pass it through the registrar. And the response from that person, the DC, the person will also pass it through the registrar. So the registrar becomes the liaison officer. And therefore, the registrar within 7 days should serve the practitioner in question. What and what would the registrar serve? A copy of the complaint or the information to what the person has committed. It's just a suspect. The potential crime that you people think that he has committed. So the registrar within 7 days will serve a copy of the complaint or the information to this person. And again, invite the person to submit in writing. Please note, after giving a copy of the registrar will also invite the person to submit his response in writing back to the DC. And of course, remember, it will always pass through the registrar. So the write-up will be the explanation, as in the response of the practitioner back to the DC within 30 days after the person is served with a copy of the complaint. So when the registrar serves you your complaint and invite you to send your response, by the time that they serve you the complaint and the invitation for your response, you have 30 days to do so. If you decide not to respond, it's on you. Then the DC will also decide what to do. So you have 30 days to send your response through the registrar back to the DC. Then the DC will obviously examine your explanation. And at that point, they will determine if it is important or necessary for them to start an investigation. I repeat, once the registrar gets the complaint through any form, any medium, whatever, it doesn't matter. The registrar is obliged. He doesn't have the chance to decide whether to send it to council or not. No, he should just send it to council. That is the apex of pharmacy council. And those 9 members, of which the registrar is part in the council, will forward this to one of the statutory committees in charge of disciplinary issues, the disciplinary committee. Then the DC, through the registrar, will write to the person in question, the practitioner in question, within 7 days when the DC is giving the complaint. And as part of the things, they will have to inform the practitioner what he or she is being accused of. So the complaint or the information should be given to the practitioner. And also ask the practitioner to submit in writing, not verbal, not audio, whatever, sound bites, no. In writing, the person's explanation within 30 days through the registrar back to the DC. Based upon the explanation given, the DC will what? Decide whether it is important for them to start an investigation or not. Are we clear, class captain? So this is the beginning of the procedure. Class captain, can we?
Yes, please.
All right. Now, just as they do in the law court, in any case, you may have witnesses, you may have whatever people who can also be part of the case. So the disciplinary committee, they also have the power to summon people to come and testify. So who and who can be summoned to the disciplinary committee to help in the investigation, should in case they are going to do the investigations? The practitioner in question will be summoned. Of practitioner somebody and the person went there to submit the complaint. The complainant too will be summoned to come. And any other person whom they think that can help in the investigations, for example, witnesses, will also be summoned to come and help in the investigations. One time, you may be asked to produce evidence. So, for example, documents or materials that are connected to the case. The DC may ask you to provide evidence. To be or the witness. If you have that you think you can tender to help the investigations, the DC will ask you to tender. But the good thing is that courts cannot force any person to tender. The DC cannot also force you to tender. So any person cannot be compelled to produce what he or she can't be compelled to produce in law court. So if in the law court, a certain document or whatever, they can't force you to tender, the DC can't also do same. So it goes with what we do in our law court. So number one, the DC can summon the, if there is a complainant, that person can also be summoned, and any other witnesses, they can also be summoned. You may be asked to tender any document as a form of evidence. But if the law calls you to tender such evidence, same way the DC cannot also force you to tender such document. Class captain.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Any other person? Please, if I mention the name of the class captain, I'm actually referring to the whole class. So if you have any question, kindly unmute.
Hello. Hello, sir.
Yeah, hello. Hello.
Okay, and please, what kind
Yeah.
of
Yes, please.
documents? I want to know some sample of documents that the court cannot compel one to produce.
Are you there? Can you hear me? Okay,
Yes,
so for
please.
example, you've sold an abortifacient. Or let's say you've sold an expired product or substandard product to a client. The person takes it and maybe he gets some reactions, or an abortifacient and it has resulted in some fatality or some deformities. So maybe you gave them a receipt or anything that they can use it to link up with you. And the drug, maybe the package or something with the receipt and everything. So to be able to establish that you actually sold that abortifacient to the person may be asked to produce something that will link you to the case. So let's say a receipt from your workplace. If not electronic, maybe it was even written by you. So you have your hands in there, signed by you. And through that, they can tender as a form of evidence that this is the evidence showing that you actually sold that kind of medicine to the person. you had a quarrel with the person, or you end up beating the person as a pharmacist, and they were able to get a video of it, or maybe some audio, they can be asked to tender. So these are some of the things that, and any other thing that you can think of that can link to the case or that can help in the investigation, they could ask any of you. Or if you, the pharmacist, do you have a proof that no, this thing, they did not buy the thing from you. If you have any evidence that they just want to implicate you, you can also submit. Same. Are you okay?
Yes, please.
All right. Any other question?
So doc,
Yeah.
so with this document, these are things that will help prove your case, or the court cannot force you, or the how to call it, the discipline committee cannot force you.
No, that statement. You see, at the law court, at times, I don't know if you watch the 2012 electoral petition. NDC disclose, no, it was even the Electoral Commission were forcing them to disclose how they got the pay. They won't disclose that. So there's an example how anybody gets his or her evidence.
Okay.
That one you can't force the person to tell you. So like whistleblower, he has gone to inform a certain committee about some wrongdoing that is not credible. But where the person got that evidence from, you can't force the person to disclose. Are we okay? All right, class captain, can we continue?
Thank you, Doc. Thank you very much.
All right. Class,
Yes.
are you there? All right.
Yes.
Okay. So now, let's look at what goes into the inquiry, the investigations proper. So should in case they want to go in there and then do the investigations, the inquiry, they've called all the parties. This is what actually goes on in there. Just as we do in the law court, the disciplinary committee themselves, they will do the work. So the DC shall administer an oath. So they will commit themselves that they are only going to do their thing the right way. So they shall commit themselves by administering an oath. The practitioner too, who is under investigation, will also be examined on oath. When you see you hold a Bible or a cross, or if you're a traditional person, you go and buy some egg and snap. Then at the end of the day, you say, so help me God, or you mention whatever you believe in. You'll be examined on oath. And you may be cross-examined by any other person. So, for example, if you are the accused, you may be cross-examined by a lawyer. Or if you are the complainant, then the lawyer of the practitioner will also cross-examine you. Just as we do in the law court, it happens during the inquiries by the DC. Of course, this means that you, the pharmacist or the practitioner, you can decide to come, or if you think you can handle your case, you can decide to go alone. That is on you. So the pharmacist or the practitioner in question can come with a lawyer. The complainant too can also come with a lawyer. Or you may decide to go alone. Now, if you are the practitioner in question and you are your explanation and you decide not to submit your response within that 30 days, that is on you. The DC cannot force you to come and then present. So they will decide whether without your explanation and do their work or not. Obviously, that will go against you because you've been accused and you have decided not to submit your side of the story. So that one, you not submitting your side of the case will not stop them from doing the work. They may go ahead and still do the inquiry. One good thing is that everything that will go on there will be recorded formally. Everything. And this will be submitted to Pharmacy Council. Remember, the job was handed over to the DC by the Pharmacy Council. So they are actually working. It's a committee under the council. So they are working for Pharmacy Council. So at the end of the day, they will have to submit everything together with their recommendations, if any, back to the Pharmacy Council, because they give them the job to do. Any queries. Okay. So at the end of the inquiry, what happens? The DC on each matter that they want to decide on, the members of the DC will do that by voting. And a simple majority will carry the day. So normally, the committees are made up of odd numbers. You will not have a committee that has even numbers. So you have 5, 7, 9, 11, so that there will always be a simple majority. Unless normally if one person fails to come and they become even numbers. In that case, the chair of that committee will have what we call a casting vote. So he will take part in the first voting, and if it draws, he will have a second vote to decide on where we decide on each and every matter based on voting, and a simple majority will carry the day. And of course, when they are done, they will have to submit the following back, will be submitted back to the Pharmacy Council, and their recommendations on possible penalties, if any. So that is, if the practitioner is found guilty, the DC will not only send, they will also recommend as to the punishment that the DC, they recommend that council should give to that person, if any. So the penalty will only come in when the practitioner is found guilty by the DC. But take note that the DC do not have the final say, because they have been given the work to do by council on the Pharmacy Council. So the DC will only send their records to the council. And if they think that the practitioner in question is guilty, they will also make recommendations on possible penalties to the Pharmacy Council. But it is up to the Pharmacy Council to take the final decision. Class Captain, are we okay?
Yes, please.
All right. Now, so let's look at if you, the practitioner, you fail to submit your explanation, as I said. So now you decided that within the 30 days given, you are not going to submit your response. And it is confirmed that you don't have any reasonable cause to do so. There is no particular reason. It's not like maybe you are sick and you've been admitted, you are incapacitated, and therefore you can't send your explanation. Nothing like that. You are fit and you can do it. You have just decided not to do so. Fine. And it is also confirmed that indeed the information got to you. You had the information. You were served with the complaint and you were served with the notice to send your explanation. You don't have anything that prevents you from sending your response. Yet you decided not to do so within 30 days. Then the registrar saying, yes, indeed, you have been served the complaint and you've been given the information to send your response, and you are not sick, nothing prevents you from sending your response. The registrar will inform the council, and the DC and the registrar will inform the DC. And the DC will now consider the complaint, and then they will make recommendations not to send your part of the case, meaning that the complaint holds. It is true because they don't have your side of the story. You don't have anything preventing you from submitting your side of the story. You have just decided not to submit yours. So it will be one-sided, and they'll rule on it and then send everything to the council for council to decide. Class captain, are you okay? Hello?
Hello, sir. Please, I think the line was breaking, so if you could please take the last part again.
Yeah, so I'm saying that if you are sent or you are served with the complaint and it is confirmed that in fact you have the complaint, it is that you are to send your explanation. Nothing is preventing you from doing so, yet you decide not to do. The registrar will obviously inform the DCS. You've been duly served, and it's expected that you send your response within 30 days, but you did not send. Then, of course, the DC will go ahead. They make their own investigations without you, and then send their recommendations to council. They won't wait for you anymore because nothing prevents you from sending your response to them. You have just decided not to respond. Are you okay?
Yes, please.
All right. So now, when the DC, they send their recommendations and the records of the inquiry to the council. Remember I said the DC doesn't have the final say. It is the pharmacy council who have the final say. So what and what can happen to the recommendations and the investigations, the records that the DC they've sent to the pharmacy council? 3 possible scenarios. Number 1, the pharmacy council can accept everything from the DC. Their records, their recommendations, they can accept it and apply it fully. Number 2, council may think that no, maybe certain things they are not right, and therefore they can send the case back to the DC for them to redo certain aspects, further consider certain aspect of the case. Council, they are not satisfied with the job of the DC, and therefore they can remit the recommendations for the DC to accept the recommendations but modify it. So if you are saying that, let's say the DC is recommending that we should find this person, then the council can say that, oh no, we are not going to find him. We will just reprimand him. The DC is saying that they should suspend the person. Then the council thinks, no, the offense is too much. So maybe they will cancel the person's registration. That one too is a possible scenario. So 3 possible things can happen. Number 1 is the council accepting everything and applying everything wholly from the DC. Number 2, send the case back to DC for redo. And number 3, accepting it but modifying the recommendation. So these are the possible outcomes when it comes to the recommendations. Are you okay?
Yes, please.
Hello? All right. Okay. So now, if the person is found guilty, what are the possible penalties? Depending on how serious the case is, the person's registration could be cancelled. Or you could be suspended for some time, maybe 1 year, 2 years, then you come back. You could or front of the council or a certain committee. Or you could be asked to pay the cost on the inquiry. So, for example, you are in Tamale. So the DC may have to travel from Accra to Tamale and do certain investigations. So the tickets, air tickets, the hotel that they will sleep in, the kind of food that they will eat, all those things, if you are found guilty, they may ask you to pay the cost that has been incurred. Or it could be a combination of some offended and asked to pay the cost and also be reprimanded. Combination of some of them can happen or one of them can happen. But note that these are the 5 possible penalties that a practitioner who has been slapped with a case of professional misconduct can suffer: cancellation of registration, suspension of registration, payment of a fine, a reprimand, and the payment of all the costs expended on the inquiry. You could face any of them depending on the case. Class captain, are we okay?
Yes, sir.
All right. So now, let's look at other aspects. Whether, for example, your certificate is cancelled or suspended, what will normally happen? So after the penalty is slapped on you, what happens? So, for example, if your certificate is cancelled or suspended, what happens? The registrar again will serve the practitioner a notice requiring the practitioner to submit your certificate within 21 days to the registrar. So your pharmacist certificate of registration, if, for example, is cancelled or suspended during that period, the registrar will write to you and tell you that within 21 days, submit that certificate to the registrar. It shouldn't be with you. It's not your property. It's your certificate, but it was given to you by Pharmacy Council. Your pharmacist certificate of registration. Send it back to the registrar within 21 days. And the registrar will publish this in the Gazette. So the registrar will go, once you are registered, you are gazetted. So you go to the Parliament of Ghana, your name is there. That is to inform every Ghanaian that you are a qualified pharmacist or a pharmacy technician. Your name is Ghana. We all meet in Parliament. We are represented by our MPs. So you will go there and then gazette it that you have been suspended for this period or your registration has been cancelled. And note this, every practitioner, your name is entered into certain registers. Class captain, have you read the Health Professions Act? Have you read it?
No, please.
You haven't. Please try and read it before you meet Dr. Ishak. Anybody, because we have 3 types of registers. We have the provisional one, temporary and permanent registers. So if, for example, you go and write these exams and you pass, immediately after you pass and you register, your name will be entered into the provision. And after a year, you'll be removed from the provisional to the permanent one. For pharmacists who are not in Ghana, but they are pharmacists elsewhere, and they want to practice pharmacy in Ghana for not more than 3 months, when they are permitted, their name is entered into a certain register called temporary register. So we have 3 different types of register: temporary, permanent. One is what, when you pass the exams, your name will go into first. And after a year, you'll be moved to the permanent one. Those who are visiting, after they've gone through certain exercises, and they are into temporary. And those temporary ones, you'll not be allowed to practice for more than 3 months within a year. It is renewable again for another 3 years. And in each of the 3 years, you perform 3 months, 3 months, 3 months, after which you'll not be allowed to acquire that license again. So your name is also entered into one of these registers. And once your registration is cancelled or suspended, the registrar will also have to delete your name from the register that you have your name in, be it provisional, temporary, or permanent. So when your registration is cancelled or suspended, the registrar will serve you a notice to submit back to him your pharmacist certificate of registration. Pharmacist is possessive pharmacist, not plural pharmacist. Possessive pharmacist certificate of. I've seen an MCQ on that, looking for the proper name of that certificate. So it is pharmacist, possessive certificate of registration. So the ABC option, the second option was plural pharmacist. The third option was singular pharmacist, and you are supposed to choose one of them. Which one is the correct name? So it is the possessive pharmacist certificate of registration. Bring it back to him within 21 days. He will gazette it in Parliament, be it cancelled, and then delete your name from the register that you have your name in, whether provisional, temporary, or permanent. The person in question, hello.
Please, I would like to find out, in case a practitioner refuses to bring back the pharmacist.
Hello. Hello. Your line is better now.
Oh, okay. I would like to find out.
I can hear you.
In case a practitioner refuses to bring back the certificate, what happens?
Okay, so the certificate is just a paper. So if you decide not to bring it, officially desert it. So you are just holding an A4 sheet. It doesn't count. If they catch you using it anywhere, you will be in trouble. In that case, you may find yourself in a proper court. So it's just like your certificate that your school is going to, give to you, whether Central or KUST or UHAS. If you do anything against them, it's an award. You did not earn it. They awarded you. So they can decide to cancel your certificate and you wouldn't have any degree again. If you like, keep it. It's just a paper now. It's no more a certificate. So that is what is going to happen. If you decide not to bring it, they will cancel it. And once they've canceled it and gazetted it, it's just null and void. It doesn't hold. It's like a normal A4 sheet, empty. Are you okay? Hello?
Yes, please. Thank you.
Okay. So
Hello, sir.
the next thing, hello.
Please, with the submission of the certificate, are those whose registrations, those who have their registration suspended, are they part of those who also deliver their certificates?
Yes. That duration that you have been suspended for a year or 2 years, you have to bring it. At the end of your suspension, then there will be measures put in place to give it back to you. So during the period that you have a case, like you are cancelled or you are suspended, the certificate shouldn't be with you. That is the basic thing. Are you okay?
Please.
All right. Now, whoever is accused of anything or they slap any punishment of you, as on you, you have the chance to make an appeal. And if you do that, and as we move on, we will look at how much time you have, depending on the type of penalty, to make an appeal and where you can make the appeal. So when you make an appeal, the good thing is that that punishment will not take effect until the court rules on the appeal. So let's say if they say they've canceled your certificate and you make an appeal at the High Court proper, you don't go back to them. Pharmacy Council, when they punish you and you want to make an appeal, you go to High Court. Depending on the type of punishment, you may have like 30 days from the day they gave you the notice that you've been suspended or cancelled to make an appeal. Day number 31, if you go, technically they will throw you out. They will tell you that your duration or the time for you to make the appeal has expired. So they won't even look at the case, they will just throw you off. So you have the chance to make an appeal. And if you exercise that, the good thing is that the punishment will not take effect until the appeal case is concluded. You are lucky and then it goes in your favor, then everything done by the council. If you are unlucky and then they confirm till the court rules. So you can still go on and practice as a pharmacist without any suspension or cancellation.
Where you want to make an appeal.
Effect. So you are not going to send your certificate, neither can they ask you not to practice as a pharmacist. Everything will have to hold until the law court rules on the appeal. Are you okay?
Sir. Thank you.
All right. Okay. So now, what normally happens to some people after cancellation? But times, if you are lucky, within a minimum of 5 years, though your certificate has been cancelled, meaning that you are not coming back again. But at times, after 5 years, if you are lucky, depending on the magnitude of the case, though, and then you get some senior officers who intervene and maybe write to counsel on your behalf that, oh, now you have changed, you are a good person now, and then they believe that you are not going to do that again. If you are lucky, even with a cancellation, not less than 5 years though, Pharmacy Council may reconsider and reactivate your registration. But you should get some evidence from some referees. One of them is supposed to be a senior practicing pharmacist with at least 15 years experience as a pharmacist to be your referee and write to council that, oh, you have changed and you are a good person now. So council should reconsider you. Then another senior public officer with no less than 10 years experience will also have to back it with same evidence that you have changed. Then it is on Pharmacy Council to consider. But that wouldn't be less than 5 years. So if your certificate is cancelled, you still have a slim chance. But you have to suffer for at least 5 years. Then you look for any of these individuals, 2 of them, to write to council, pleading on your behalf that you have changed. You are a good person now, and council should decide. But it is still on council to decide whether you should have this. And it shouldn't be less than 5 years if it is cancellation. Are you okay?
Yes, please.
All right. So now, what are some of the things that if a practitioner is engaging will warrant suspension, will warrant cancellation? What are some of the things that if you do, some of the professional misconduct that may lead you to suspension? So this one is coming from the Health Professions Regulatory Bodies Act.
Hello, sir.
These are some of the things. Yeah, hello.
In case you entry mechanisms to the practitioner.
It depends on your, as in you have to apply that maybe the law court should also slap some punishment on counsel to compensate you. So it depends on you and your lawyer. You pray to the court that the court should also let them compensate you. So the law court, you apply for everything. If you don't, it's not automatic. In how do they call it? Tarnish your image. It's not automatic that the court will find a person for you. No, you have to apply. So the judge is not there to do your work for you. You always have to apply to the court and ask them, you pray to them to do something for you. Also sue them if you win the case. Pray to the court that maybe they've wasted your time, they've given you emotional damage, and therefore you are appealing that the court should find them for them to, as in, compensate you. It depends on you. But mind you, you are dealing with your masters in Ghana. So you should be very careful. If you've had the opportunity to just dodge them, just go in peace. Else you may be in trouble. But you can still do it if you are confident enough and you think that they should compensate you. Fine. You sue them after the case. Are you okay?
Yes, please. Thank you.
All right. Okay. So now,
Dr. Bobo,
yes.
please, from the re-registration, we are saying that the individual is being declared of good behavior. After cancellation, you are not practicing, so how are they examining the
No,
individual?
this is not from council. You being declared of good behavior is not from council. It is from these two guys. They are just pleading on your behalf that, oh, you have changed.
Yes.
That's why I said it's still on council to decide whether they will do it or not. So it's not council who are saying that you have changed. As for them, they've just canceled your certificate, so they don't even know you anymore. So these guys are going to plead for you as your referees. Are you okay?
Yes, please. So my question is that if after cancellation you are not practicing, how are they examining you for good behavior? As in the two people vouching for you.
Yeah, referees. We expect referees should know you throughout that period. So whoever accepts, or if you are going to do anything in that period, these people they put known you throughout that period, and you have changed. You see that thing? But it is still on council to decide. Yeah, hello.
Yeah, please, the line is breaking. Yeah.
Hello. Sorry. So I'm saying that these two guys are just serving as your referees. They are just going to plead on your behalf that you have now changed. Council, they don't know you anymore. So they can even decide not to listen to them. But council believes that these people look at their status, senior practicing pharmacists for not less than 15 years, any public officer, be it a public judge, lawyer, or whatever, senior. They think that these people cannot just wake up one day and then come and lie to them. They have very high reputation. So based on that, if they've written to them, they may consider that, okay, and then reinstate this person. They can also decide, no, we are not going to do it. So it depends on council. They are just going to plead for you. So you pray that it will work out. Please, are you okay?
Yes, please. Thank you.
All right. So in the Pharmacy Act, that is the Health Professions Regulatory Bodies Act, Part 4. These
Dr.
are some
Ajiman,
of the things that, yeah, hello.
please, from the previous slide, you spoke about a public officer being a judge or anything. Please, I want to find out, aside a judge, who else is considered as a public to get?
Those, any public officer, if you work for any public institution, you could be a teacher, headmaster, whoever. Once you're a public officer, you are being paid by the controller. You can be a lecturer, anybody. A doctor.
Okay, yes, please. Thank you.
Okay. All right. So now, in the Act, that is the Health Professions Regulatory Bodies Act, Part 4, they've spelled out specific things that if you are engaging, specific things that if you do, it can lead to cancellation. And these ones, they just set it as MCQs to confuse you. If you don't take particular notice, you realize that all of them are offenses. And at the end of the day, if they bring everything there under suspension and they slot in one from cancellation and ask you to choose the odd one out, you'll be confused. So make sure that you take notice of the things that warrant suspension. Note them. Don't mix them up with the offenses that goes with cancellation, because they set questions. You see a whole page, 5-10 questions, and they will ask you to pick out the odd one or the following warrant suspension, except you go there and all that you are reading, they are all offenses. But you don't know which one is under suspension and which one is under cancellation. So please take note of those who are under suspension. Don't mix them up with those under cancellation and those under removal of names. Please segregate them. Don't mix them up. So in the act, the following will warrant suspension of somebody's registration. Number one is even when an offense or just an allegation of misconduct in relation to the practitioner is being investigated. This is not fair, but that is what the law states. An offense or just a mere allegation of professional misconduct is being investigated. That alone, they can suspend you. That is the law. You can't argue. It may go against you or in your favor, but you can't do anything about it. So when an offense or an allegation of professional misconduct leveled against a practitioner is being investigated, they can suspend you. At times, they feel that your presence can interfere with the investigation, so stay aside for them to investigate. They can suspend you. The second one is if you make a false declaration when you are applying for your registration as a practitioner. So every year you apply to renew your license. In the form, at the end of the form, they state that sign and declare that all the information that you have provided, they are all true. And you ended up, for example, you are registering pharmacist for a certain pharmacy. Of the pharmacy is from, say, 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. So that you are the superintendent pharmacist and you'll be there all through from 8 a.m. from 8 p.m. because you know that at any time the facility, there's supposed to be a pharmacist there. But you've connived with the proprietor, and because of cash issues, you don't want them to cover you when you close. So you are telling Pharmacy Council that throughout the 12 hours period that the pharmacy is in operation, you'll be there. Very good. Pharmacy Council, they don't care. All that they want is anytime that the facility is open, you are supposed to have a registered pharmacist there. So that is on. Maybe you close at 4. So from 4 p.m. to 8 p.m., there is no pharmacist there. Or you don't even go there at all. It means that you have given them false information during your registration. Because it was based on that they granted your approval. By now, you've lied to them. This false declaration during your registration that you'll be there all through, which is not the case, can lead you to suspension. Please, are we okay? Hello?
Yes, please.
All right. Then the last one is if you contravene any provision in the act, depending on the magnitude. So this one depends on the magnitude. Then Pharmacy Council will decide to suspend you or not. So if a practitioner, you contravene, you do anything opposite to a certain provision in the part 4 and the part 6 of the Health Professions Regulatory Body. So if they say this part, they're actually referring to the part 4 stroke the part 6 of the Health Professions Regulatory Bodies Act. Anything there, if you go against, depending on the magnitude, Pharmacy Council can decide to suspend you, which means that if you do same, depending on the magnitude, they can also decide to cancel your certificate. So these are the three things that you should note. Don't mix them with the other things. These are the three things that if you do, Pharmacy Council can suspend your registration. Now, back to what I've been saying. The registration cannot be suspended if you make an appeal. And of course, you have 30 days. Please note, from the time that they give you the notice that you are being suspended, from that day that you are served, you have 30 days to make your appeal. Any other court or any other place for redress other than the High Court of Ghana. Please note, it is only the High Court. It's an appeal case, but you are not going to the appeal court. No. From Pharmacy Council, you are going to the High Court. Please note, this is a popular MCQ question. High Court is where you are going, and you have 30 days. If you wait day number 31 and you go, they will throw you out because the 30-day period is over, and therefore Pharmacy Council suspension will hold. Once you are able to take advantage of this appeal in the High Court of Ghana, the suspension will never take effect until the High Court they make their ruling, which may be in your favor or will go against you. Please, are we okay? Class captain. Class captain.
Yes, please.
All right. Now, what and what will also warrant cancellation? As I said, please do not mix them. Do not mix them for MCQ purposes. Do not mix them. If a practitioner is convicted of any offense under the Part 4/Part 6, that is when the magnitude will come in. So this same thing can lead you to suspension or cancellation, depending on the magnitude, how serious the thing is. So if you are convicted of any offense under this part, if I say this part, I'm referring to the Part 4 of the Health Professions Regulatory Bodies Act, of the Act and additional regulations. Depending on the magnitude, your certificate could be cancelled. The second one is, if the practitioner, you lose your qualification on the basis of which your registration was made. So your Farm D, if KNUST take it away from you, automatically your pharmacist certificate of registration is going to be cancelled. Your pharmacist certificate of registration is based on your qualification. That is why you just went back to school to write your final exams, to be able to get your Farm D certificate. That makes you a candidate for your professional. Pass and get your Farm D, you can never be a candidate for the GVP-QE. And therefore, if you don't have your Farm D anymore, maybe you've insulted KNUST or you've done something against them, or they went back to your records and they realized that you had admission with a fake SSC results. So they are taking the Farm D from you. Automatically, Pharmacy Council will take your pharmacist registration from you because it is on that basis that you were registered. Class captain, are you okay?
Yes, please.
Class captain. Class captain.
Hello,
I'll always
sir.
call you. Okay, so that is the second one. The next one is if the practitioner is sentenced. Yeah.
Yes, sir. Please,
Is
you
there a
can proceed.
question?
No, please.
Okay. All right. So the next one is if the practitioner is sentenced to a term of imprisonment for a criminal offense. So if you do anything and maybe criminal offense to a term of imprisonment, automatically Pharmacy Council don't want to associate themselves with you again. And therefore they will take their certificates from you. So you go and rape somebody, or you go and then do anything bad. You are found in possession of cocaine, marijuana, anything, and they sentence you to a term of imprisonment. Pharmacy Council, they don't want to deal with criminals. So they will take their certificate from you. They will cancel you. Then the last one is, if a practitioner fails to comply with a penalty imposed by the council after due process, you've committed a professional misconduct. DC, they've taken you through all the disciplinary procedures. Now they've concluded. So let's say come and pay a fine of 250 penalty units. They will charge you in penalty units. One penalty unit is 12 Ghana. They've not reviewed it. So they say come and pay 10,000 penalty units. You just multiply 10,000 by 12 cedis. Then you go and pay. But you have decided not to do so. You don't respect. Okay, stay there. They will cancel your registration. So they've taken you through due process, everything. They've invited you, you've come with your lawyer, blah, 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 blah. At the end of the day, the decision is to give you a fine of 10,000 penalty unit. Then you decide that you will not comply. You are not going to pay anything, not today nor tomorrow. Pharmacy Council will take it as a serious offense and cancel your registration. The good thing is that your registration shall not be cancelled unless the board, whenever you hear the board too, is the same council, unless the Pharmacy Council has given you, the practitioner, a 30 days notice of their intention to cancel the registration. And High Court of Ghana, within that 30-day period, and during that time, if you make the appeal, the cancellation or the suspension will not hold until the law court, that is High Court, they rule on the case, which may go in your favor or council's favor, and then the right thing is done. So that is that. So please note the misconduct again. Don't mix them. MCQ purposes. They will write this, all the following.
Hello, Doc.
So they remove one of it and slot in one from suspension. Yeah, hello?
Please.
Hello? Yeah, go ahead.
I would like to find out the statement in case a practitioner is being sentenced to a term of imprisonment for a criminal offense. That imprisonment or being sentenced, is it before your registration as a pharmacist or after registration?
No, so you are not a pharmacist, you are practicing. Then you go and do something that is criminal. And then a law court, even different, it's not even related to, maybe you are a secret something, you concern pharmacy practice, and then they sentence you. Pharmacy Council will tell you that they don't deal with criminals. Because of that, they are canceling your certificate. That thing wasn't even related to pharmacy practice, no. But once you have been sentenced to a term of imprisonment because you've done something criminal, they will dissociate themselves from you. No, they will take their license. Are you okay?
Yes, please. So it's after you've been registered as a pharmacist.
Yes. Right now, if you have this offense, then you being a pharmacist, it also depends on your character. It is part. So if right now you are in prison, then they get to know. They may not even pick you as a candidate at all. Do you get it? Okay. But in this case, we are talking about a practicing pharmacist who has been imprisoned because of what? Criminal offense. It's not even necessary for the thing to be related to pharmacy practice. No. Something else. But once because of criminal offense, Pharmacy Council will say, no, 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 no. We don't want any criminal in this profession. You have canceled your registration. Are you okay?
Being sentenced to a term of imprisonment for a criminal. And what if the 30 days has been proven innocent? Is there a way the person can be re-registered?
No. So whatever be the case, you have just 30 days appeal. You have 30 days. So once Pharmacy Council the right should straight away appeal within that 30 days. All that they are looking for is the 30 days. If you don't work within 30 days, then that's it. Are you okay? That is the law. This law is the time you want to work now. So work within the 30 days and make your appeal at the High Court. All right. Of course, if even with a criminal offense, if you want to make an appeal, it will be right after you've been sentenced. You don't have going to go against you. There are so many people in prison that it's not because they are guilty, but even the cash to hire a lawyer to make a good case. That is why they are in prison. So it's on you. It's on you. Pharmacy Council, all that they know is you've been sentenced. It's not on them to establish whether you are not guilty or once the law court says that you are guilty and been sentenced. So please suspend. There is also that the term in the Acts removal of names. I always find it difficult to establish the difference between cancellation and removal. But the removal, one thing is that it is not always that the person has committed an offense. So removal could be an offense or no offense, yet we have to remove your name. For example, when somebody is dead, it's not an offense. But once you are dead, your name must be removed from the register. We don't want to have ghost names in the register. Somebody dying doesn't mean that he has committed an offense, but it is one of the things that warrants removal of names. But when it comes to cancellation, you realize that everything under cancellation is about offense. Everything under. So that's the difference between removal and cancellation. Removal could be no offense and offense, but cancellation, everything is about offense. So when somebody is dead, of course, we don't want to get ghost names. Your name must be removed. If you have been found guilty, so here is an offense of professional misconduct by the discipline committee, your name will be removed. If you fail to pay the real essential fee, every year, every pharmacist will have to renew your license. There is a cash that you pay. We call it real essential fee. Normally between 200 and 300 Ghana cedis. You have decided not to pay. No pay, no gain. You pay before you play. So if you decide not to pay that money for your real essential, then we can't enter or activate your name in the register. Your name must be removed from the register. So please note these things. These three things, they will quote it dito dito. They will quote it dito dito. So these three things warrant removal of name. Don't mix removal of names with cancellation nor with suspension. You know the exact things under cancellation. And when it's about removal of names, you know the exact things under removal of names. So under removal of names, your name could be restored if the board or the pharmacy council directs the registrar to do so. For example, if maybe you come back and you pay the prescribed fee, then the council may direct the registrar to put back your name. But when you are dead, you are not coming back. So this one, your name cannot be reinstated. You are gone forever. But payment of the prescribed fee, if you come back and pay, then depending on the council, they may direct the registrar to put back your name in the registrar. Any queries? Any queries?
Hello,
Any
sir.
queries?
Yes, please, I have a question. Okay, please, if somebody
Yeah,
is
hello.
registered in Ghana and is practicing in Ghana, and the person happens to leave the country and permanently somewhere, like relocate, and is practicing elsewhere, does the person still have his or her license, or is the person's name removed from the register?
Okay, so if I heard you right, you are a pharmacist in Ghana, and then you decide to travel to maybe US, and then what happens?
So I traveled to the US. I've done everything I'm supposed to do in the US. So I'm working in the US now as a pharmacist. Do I still have my license in Ghana, or my name will be removed from like the register in Ghana?
Yeah, so if at the end of the year, maybe the ensuing year, let's say 2025, you fail to do the right things to activate your license, of course, your name will be removed. You haven't, as in, acquire your CPD points, the minimum points, which is 10 points, you've not acquired, and therefore you are not able to renew the license. No. You'll be bloating the license. You remove your name from the license. The good thing is that even if you are in the US, you can now do online CPD courses. And then at the end of the year, electronically, you pay your real licensure and you activate it. The only thing is that once you are not here, you'll not be allowed to superintend, because to become a superintendent, you should be there physically. So that one, you'll not be allowed to superintend, but you can still keep your license active once you get your CPD points and you're able to pay the prescribed fee, even if you are living in the US. But if you fail to do so, then your name will be removed because you haven't met the requirement. You haven't paid the fees. You haven't acquired your CPD points, which tells council that you are current when it comes to pharmacy practice, current issues. So you are practicing in the US, fine. In Ghana, your name will be removed. When you come back, then it is between you and then council. Then they will decide whether they will accept you or not. I don't know about that. Maybe the duration that they may not accept you again or not. But when you come back and you want to redo, then you settle it with them. But you can still keep your license active even if you are not in Ghana. The only thing is that you cannot register as a superintendent pharmacist for any facility, because that one you have to be there physically. Are you okay?
Yes, please. Thank you very much.
All right, you're welcome. Any other question? Okay. All right. So you remember that I was talking about different types of registers. I mentioned provisional. That is when you pass the exams immediately, your name is entered into the provisional. And after a year, your name, if you want to practice permanently in Ghana, your name is removed from that one and then entered into the permanent register. There is a third one called the temporal register. So this is the register that pharmacists, even those pharmacists who don't have license in Ghana, there are pharmacists elsewhere, maybe US. You want to come to Ghana and then do some short program, and therefore you need to practice temporarily as a pharmacist in Ghana. You apply to Pharmacy Council, and if you meet their requirement, they will give you temporary registration and enter your name into the temporary register. For that register, you are only allowed to practice pharmacy for 3 months within 1 year, for just 3 months. You can't practice pharmacy for more than 3 months within a year. And that license is renewable for another 3 years. So the first year that you've come, they'll give you 3 months within that year. Let's say this year, 2024, they'll give you the temporary registration. You can practice for only 3 months because you've not gone through the things that you guys are going to write the professional exams. But depending on your qualification and those things, council will consider, and if you allow, grant you that 3 months. This registration is renewable for another 3 years. So another 3 years means if, let's say, next year you want to come and do it again, yes, they can give it to you. 2026, if you want to enjoy it again, they can give it to you. 2027, they can give it to you. So that's another 3 years. So this year is 1 year, then another 3 years. In each of these 4 years, you'll be granted 3 months, 3 months, 3 months, 3 months. After you have enjoyed this total 4 years, and in each of them, remember, you are having just 3 months. That will be your end to enjoy a temporary license. After that, you will not again. You have to come and write the exams, go through all the processes, and acquire your license. You can't be smarter than Pharmacy Council. You always want to come and practice pharmacy without having a proper registration in Ghana. No. So temporary license is given for a period of not more than 3 months within a year, and it is renewable for another 3-year period. You'll be done. A temporary license is given for a period of not more than 3 months within the first year, and it is renewable for another. The key term there is another 3-year period. In each of the 3 years, you will still have 3 months, 3 months, 3 months. After that, eligible for temporary license anymore. Every day you come and you apply that you want to do temporary. No. That will be the end. Those people on this, at that time, you are a practitioner. You are considered as a practitioner. In Ghana, they can still also commit or whatever institution that's approved by Pharmacy Council. You are on a temporary register and you're outside an approved premises and you do so, this will be your and 50 penalty unit. As I said, each 1 unit is equivalent to 12 Ghana cedis. So you may be fined not less than 250 penalty units and not more than 2,500 penalty units. So between this range, you may be fined or to a term of imprisonment of not more than 4 years, or both the fine and the term of proof alone. You can be fined or imprisoned for a term of 4 years, or the two will be slapped on you. So don't do that, even when you are on temporary registration. Class captain, are you okay?
Hello, sir.
Hello.
Sir, please.
Are you okay?
Sir, please, can you take that part again, the last part?
So, even if you are a temporary registration holder, it's expected that your practice will be in an approved institution premises by council. So you can't say that you are a temporary holder, you are from US, Waba. Straight away, you go to Kumasi Central Market. That place is not approved for pharmacy practice, then you begin to practice pharmacy there. No. Only in places approved by Pharmacy Council. So community pharmacies, hospitals, clinics, those places are approved. If you practice in a clinic where the Pharmacy Council, they've not approved the pharmacy unit there, and you go and practice, there is an offense. If you do so, this is the likely punishment. You may pay a fine of not less than 250 units and not more than 2,500 units. And this is the definition for 1 unit in terms of Ghana cedis. 1 unit is to 12 Ghana cedis. So whichever way, you just multiply by it and go and pay. Or you can even be in prison for not more than 4 years for practicing in a place that is not approved. Or they can give you both punishment at the same time. So you can be fined or be sentenced to 4 years or both if you practice in unapproved premises as a temporary registration holder. And I've explained those holding temporary registration. Are you okay?
Yes, please.
Is it clear now?
Yes,
All right.
please.
Okay. What
Hello,
is the time?
hello.
Class captain, time.
Hello, sir.
Time.
11:26.
Oh, okay. All right, cool. Any question? Any
Hello,
question,
sir.
please? Yeah, hello.
Please, a clarification on the approved hospital premises or institutions. When you say premises, what do you mean? Is it pharmacy only?
Okay, so for premises, pharmacy council, if I say premises, and I'm talking about pharmacy premises, retail, you know the retail community pharmacies. Hello?
Yes, please.
Then wholesale premises, you know wholesale.
Yeah.
And then we have one that is manufacturers in, let's say, India, for them to produce drugs in box containers. Then they will get it.
Hello, Dr.
Hello?
Bobo, you went off small.
Please, we lost you. Can you?
Yeah, hello, can you hear me?
Yes,
Hello?
please. We can hear
Yes,
you now.
please.
Okay. So let me list those premises that Pharmacy Council they issue license. The premises that Pharmacy Council approve. Ishak will do this with you. Retail pharmacies, wholesale pharmacies, manufacturing wholesales. So the manufacturing wholesale is the one that I was trying to explain, like Abiak Pharma. They get their products in containers from India. So Abi line of drugs, Abifort, Abikoff, Abiwate. So when it comes, they supply it to wholesalers. The wholesale manufacturing wholesale license given to them by Pharmacy Council. So retail pharmacy, wholesale pharmacy, manufacturing wholesale. Somebody can even go for 2-in-1, retail wholesale. So we have that pharmacy to 2-in-1 license, retail wholesale. Then the pharmacies within clinics and hospitals are also supposed to be licensed by Pharmacy Council, but do you see that? Even all the pharmacies in Konfanochi, about the 16 units, are supposed to be licensed individually with a certain pharmacist registration by council, but we are not doing that. So these are the premises that are approved within any of these 5 areas. Pharmacies within clinics and hospitals, retail wholesale license or premises, retail only premises, wholesale only premises, and manufacturing wholesale premises. The 6th one will be any other place that exclusively Pharmacy Council may approve. For example, they are performing any outreach program. Let's say you go to market centers. So on that day, the tent that you build to maybe give pharmaceutical care, Pharmacy Council will approve that tent for that program. So in that case, if you are a pharmacist and you go there and then offer pharmaceutical care, you are covered because that program is approved by Pharmacy Council. Other than that, outside any of these premises, you are in trouble because that place is not approved by Pharmacy Council. Please, are we okay? Hello?
Yes, please.
Yes. So you can't practice pharmacy outside any of these approved places. It should be retail pharmacy, wholesale pharmacy, retail cum wholesale, manufacturing wholesale, pharmacies within hospitals and clinics, and those programs that Pharmacy Council will approve. So at that point, that place is approved by Pharmacy Council on that day or during that period. You can do. Other than that, you can't practice pharmacy in an unapproved car. Like the way those guys, itinerant medicine suppliers, we call them close men. You are in the VIP, then they will come and be selling tetracycline and those things. No, that is not an approved premises. Pharmacist, then you decide to practice in an unapproved or yet to be approved premises, you are in trouble. That is what I'm talking about. Please, is it clear?
Yes, please.
All right. Okay, so now in the Act,
Hello, sir.
there are also, yeah, hello?
Please, I have a
Sure.
concerning the temporary registration. Can a person living outside of Ghana decide to register as a permanent pharmacist in Ghana, temporary registration? That is 3 months for 3 years. Or the person has to go through the temporary registration for that period, that 4 years period before registering
You have to come and go through all the things that you are doing. Your school, you write the professional exams before you are given permanent registration. So as for permanent, you have to write the professional exams and pass before you are given permanent. Temporary, you don't write any exams. You apply to council with your qualification and those things. And normally they are pharmacists elsewhere. They are not pharmacists in Ghana. So if Pharmacy Council, they are satisfied with your document, they grant you the temporary license. You get it. For permanent, you have to write the professional exams and pass. So you can't be in another country and then no. You have to come to Ghana. Even if you're a pharmacist elsewhere, you have to come and do some rotation. They have some 6 weeks rotation that you have to come and do. And then you register, write the exams, and pass. You are giving the permanent. So if you are temporary, and that one too, it has a cutoff point. As I said, if you enjoy it on 4 different occasions, each year, 3 months, 3 months, 3 months, you are done. They will not grant you the temporary again. The next time when you apply, they will say, no, you've exhausted all your chances. Come and write the professional exams, do your rotation, and then get your permanent. Please, are you okay?
Yes, please. Thank you.
All right. Okay. In the part 4, there are general offenses that if you are a practitioner, you commit, it will be deemed as a professional misconduct. And some of them, if you are not a practitioner and you commit, then it is deemed as an offense. So the general, whether you are a practitioner or not, you can commit. But when you are a practitioner, we term it as professional misconduct. If you are not a practitioner, we term it as an offense. Some of them can be committed by practitioners. Some of them can also be committed by non-practitioners. Available. Now, false declaration in an application for registration. In that case, obviously, it means that you are a professional. So that becomes a professional misconduct. Number 2, you willfully and falsely a title, and a qualification to practice as a pharmacist. So now, even you that you are about to write this exam, you're almost there. You are not a pharmacist. You go and work at any pharmacy premises, then a client comes in and he says, I'm looking for it is false, and you willfully did so, it becomes an offense. You are not yet a pharmacist, so it can be a professional misconduct. It becomes an offense. Again, if you operate or you permit any other person to open premises to the public under the description of pharmacy, dispensary, chemist, drugstore, or any other similar description,